Hello everyone. I'm honored to be here today. My name is Jane Bateman. I'm representing the Alzheimer's Association today. I'm a volunteer for them, have been for the last 12 years. My full-time job is with an in-home care company, and I learn a lot about Alzheimer's and other dementias. We're going to talk about how to maybe help prevent some of these diseases, to best care for your body, and what to look for. Feel free to ask questions as we go through. I will do my best to answer them for you. If I don't have the answer for you, I will do my best to get the answer. Just remember that I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse or a researcher, so I will just do what I can for you. So at the end of this program, we're going to identify how certain behaviors affect our brains and bodies. We're going to list strategies for healthy decision-making in these areas of sleep, smoking, mental health, physical activity, balanced nutrition, cognitive engagement, and social engagement. So throughout this program, we are going to hear tips about each of those. So first, we're going to talk about the brain, okay? The brain is the control center for our entire body. It manages everything, including our thoughts and our movement. There are approximately 100 billion nerve cells called neurons in the brain. They are structured like branches of a tree, creating a network of pathways through which signals are structured like to form memories, thoughts, and feelings. Many diseases can affect the brain. For example, Alzheimer's progressively destroys brain cells as it moves throughout the brain, affecting more functions as the disease progresses. So I don't know if any of you have heard about kind of the details of Alzheimer's and other dementias, but plaques and tangles, they will form in the brain, blocking those nerve cells and the communication between those nerve cells. And the next slide will show us a little bit more about those neurons and the branches of the trees. But if you think of kind of like a bathtub drain, and there's hair in that bathtub, and that water can't get through, it's going to move a lot slower. And what happens with a muscle when it's not used? It atrophies. So that's exactly what happens with the brain. So the brain literally shrinks. In one of my classes, I will pass around a 3-pound bag of rice and a 1-pound bag of rice. 3 pounds is how much our brain weighs. A normal, healthy brain weighs 3 pounds. A brain affected by Alzheimer's or other dementias can weigh about 1 pound. It's a very physical activity to get you to understand what these diseases do. So we know that what's good for the heart is good for the brain. They are connected. Science is able to tell us why this is true and what we can do to maximize our health. Much of the heart-brain connection is due to the fact that the brain is nourished by the body's richest network of blood vessels. Sorry, I've gone. Okay. The oxygen and other elements delivered to the brain throughout the bloodstream keep the brain nourished. Each time your heart beats, 20 to 25% of your blood being moved in your body goes to your brain. Who's surprised by this? I know I was. So this is why keeping the heart in good working order helps keep the brain fueled to do its work. So, true or false? Alzheimer's is a normal part of aging.
Hopefully false.
False. Yes. Alzheimer's is a progressive and fatal brain disease. Symptoms usually develop slowly and get worse over time. While the greatest risk factor for Alzheimer's is increasing age, it is not a normal part of aging. Most individuals with the disease are 65 or older. The risk of developing Alzheimer's doubles every 5 years. After age 85, the risk is about 1 in 3. I'm here to lift everybody's spirits today. As we get older, it's common to experience some age-related changes to memory and thinking abilities, such as forgetting where we left something and finding it later, or sometimes having trouble finding the right word. This is known as cognitive decline. How many of you, just this week, have gone to one room and thought to yourself, now why did I just come here? I know I have. But we have the ability to go back to where we came from and go, oh yes, that's right, I went for that book. People with Alzheimer's and other dementias, even in the early stages, may not have that ability to do that. We've all lost our keys, probably in the last month or so, okay? But finding them in some place like the freezer is not normal, and not remembering that you put them there, okay? Believe me, in the 12 years I've been with in-home care and doing Alzheimer's trainings, I've heard a lot. So, dementia is a general term used to describe problems with thinking and memory that are severe enough to interfere with a person's daily life. Dementia is not a normal part of aging. It is caused by damage to the brain cells that affect the cell's ability to communicate, like I mentioned before, which can affect thinking, behavior, and feelings. Alzheimer's disease is the most common type of dementia. Worldwide, there is an estimated 55 million people living with Alzheimer's and other dementias. So I keep mentioning Alzheimer's and other dementias. So let me just break this down for you. Dementia is an umbrella term. So if you think of an umbrella and the word dementia is written in there, under that umbrella are all the different types of dementia. So kind of like you say flower, and then there's all the types of flowers, okay? So we have Alzheimer's disease is one type of dementia. Then you have vascular dementia, which can be caused by strokes, mini strokes. You've got Lewy body dementia, which has some Parkinson's components to it, but still two completely different diseases. Does anybody know of a movie star that passed away recently who had Lewy body dementia? Robin Williams. Yes. He was originally diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and after he died, his autopsy showed the Lewy bodies in his brain. Frontotemporal dementia, FTD it's known as, which affects that front part of the brain. It's the language, the filter that so many of us have and some of us don't have. But does anybody know of another movie star who was recently diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia?
Donald Trump.
Is he a movie star?
I think he is.
He fancies himself though.
Yeah, Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis. So his language has been dramatically affected. He cannot find the words and describe how he's feeling and such.
That onset was quick then.
Yes. And frontotemporal dementia is usually the one that is diagnosed to younger people. Yeah. So.
Are the roots all the same?
No.
Okay.
No.
I'll stand by.
Yeah. So then we've got mixed dementias, as if diagnosis is not hard enough. So, there are all types. I was telling Lynn earlier, there is another presentation out there called the 10 warning signs of Alzheimer's that I can come and do, and that breaks these down a little bit more, and the diagnosis and the how that's done and the medications and such. So there's more to come if you'd like to hear that. So there is currently no cure for Alzheimer's. However, there are drugs and non-drug options that can help with some symptoms and have the ability to slow the disease progression. While there are no current proven methods to prevent cognitive decline or dementia, research has shown that we can take action to reduce our risk of developing it and help maintain or potentially improve overall health. Does anybody have any questions so far?
One, are there any defined episodic dementias, for example, prescription drug induced lapses like anticholinergics like Benadryl or those sorts of things?
I do not know of anything like that. That would probably be best asked to a physician. But from what I understand, it would have to be kind of something that's over time. That's the best I can answer that question. Yes.
What specialty in the medical field is the appropriate contact if you recognize symptoms?
Good question. So her question was, who do you see if you have symptoms? So first you can start with your primary, but there are psychiatrists out there, there are neurologists, and here in Easton, there are a couple really great ones. There's Dr. Cam Shea, who is with the Shore Neurology and Sleep Medicine on Campus Lane, and there's also Shore Neurocognitive Clinic right behind Walmart. And
Dr. Hexton. In Stevensville?
oh, yes, and they come from Annapolis, correct? Okay. So, but yeah, so over there at Shore Neurocognitive Clinic, not only do they have nurse practitioners and people who can prescribe medications and kind of keep an eye on things as things progress, but you also have social workers, you have support groups through there as well. Okay.
What's the name of that group again?
Shore Neurocognitive Clinic. They're right behind Walmart on Teal Drive. Yeah. And I think they book out a little bit. So, yeah. So, okay. So now we're going to talk about what effects our overall health and well-being can have on our brain. Many factors can impact health, including our genes, family history, environment, and lifestyle. As we age, it is common for us to experience some familiar experiences and changes like getting gray hair or wrinkles or needing glasses. But as individuals, we experience getting older in many different ways. This is due in part to our genes. Genes are beyond our control and influence the way we are. For example, some families' genes allow them to live well into their 90s or longer, while other families' genes can lead to diseases earlier in life that may shorten their lifespan. In addition, the environments in which we live, work, and play can have significant effects on our health, and many of these are difficult to change and beyond our control. But we do have some control over other factors, including our health. Making improvements in these areas could positively affect overall health, even for individuals with a family history of certain conditions like dementia or heart disease. Your overall blood pressure, blood sugar, and cholesterol levels are all key parts to the story of your overall health, including your brain. It's important to understand these numbers and keep an eye on them. Growing research suggests that many factors that increase the risk of heart disease and stroke may also increase the risk of cognitive decline and dementia. There is strong evidence of a connection between midlife high blood pressure or hypertension and later life dementia. Controlling blood pressure can have a significant effect on your risk for cognitive decline and possibly dementia. Keeping diabetes controlled, again, same thing. Maintaining a healthy weight is important too. Researchers have found that midlife obesity may be associated with a risk of increased risk of dementia. So we know that a good cholesterol level is good for the heart. What's good for the heart is good for the brain. You're gonna go home repeating that several times. So understand your numbers and know what they should be. Keep an eye on them. We're gonna talk about strategies that will help support you guys to help maintain those numbers. So, true or false? It's never too early or never too late to incorporate these healthy habits.
Yes.
True.
Probably.
True. That's right. It's never too late. Never too late. Okay, so today, all right, we're going to explore these aspects of healthy living, getting quality sleep, being smoke-free, taking care of your mental health, get moving, eat healthy, challenge yourself, and stay connected. We'll look at what the science tells us about changes we can make in each of these areas to help our bodies and brains. As we touch on these areas, think about how you can apply this to your own life. Consider how you can do what you enjoy, make gradual changes, and start now, regardless of your age. So, first let's talk about sleep. Not only does sleep allow us to rest and recharge, it also affects our ability to maintain healthy blood pressure and control diabetes. Inadequate sleep due to conditions like insomnia or sleep apnea can cause problems with memory and thinking. Sleep apnea is a condition in which breathing stops and restarts many times while you are sleeping. So adults should aim for no less than 6 hours of rest a night. Sometimes there may be interruptions from others in your home or noise or other factors that make this difficult. Think about your own sleep habits. What changes might help you create a more peaceful sleep setting? My husband and I are what AARP calls sleep divorced. And it's good for us.
If you put them in the closet.
He wouldn't mind. But, so you just, no matter what it takes. I mean, he sleeps in another room because that's what works for us. Otherwise, I would be up every single night at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and I would be going out to the couch or wherever because he snores and whatever. Yeah. So let's talk about your sleep environment. Do you sleep where you need it cooler or warmer? Do you need light noise or music in the background? Do you prefer sunlight or complete darkness? What small changes might you make, such as adding fewer or less blankets? Has anybody ever heard of those weighted blankets? Yeah? So we have a couple of those in our house and it does help.
It's like fun like a baby.
Yeah, exactly. They come in like 25 pounds, 35 pounds, and yeah, it's amazing. Maybe a fan for white noise, blackout curtains, a sound machine, again, separate spaces. Experts recommend turning off your screens before bedtime, and if you take your phone into your bedroom, I recommend you stop. I leave my phone in the other room. If anybody needs to text me or whatever, I will get it in the morning. And everybody knows that. So, and if you have a phone or music for an alarm clock, keep it a distance away, so you can't just hit it and go back to sleep. You have to actually go and walk to it to wake up. So if you frequently experience sleep problems, yes.
A pet. Cats are nocturnal. It's my only companion. Sonny's here. He's my only companion. And he gives me great deal of comfort when we sleep, but he's very active at night. And were I to shut him in another room, he would be frantic because I rescued him from an abandoned building where he had been starved for a month. And he gets frantic if he's shut off.
Right, yeah.
And he's getting better in this little tiny apartment. But I do find that when he jumps off the bed, when he jumps on the bed, or when he races around the front room crazily, or he tries to, the munition lines in my new apartment just drive him crazy because he likes to see out and wants to see out. So
Yes.
have you any recommend? Now, a dog is more manageable, right?
Yeah, so she's asking about animals during the night, and a cat that, I actually have the same problem. I have a cat and two dogs.
Good.
And when the cat jumps up, the dog wants to chase after the cat. So I'm, yeah. And us too, if you lock them out of the room, I actually don't have an answer to that.
Okay.
I'm going to recommend that you try, giving a feeding of a kibble that you can order, through, Amazon, not Amazon.
Chewy. Okay.
It's called Calm.
Oh.
And it's got, what's it, tryptophan?
Yeah.
And you might give him a feeding of that before
Excellent.
bedtime, and that might slow him down.
So we were just talking about, we were just talking about adding a little sedative almost for our animals at night. Not sedative, but more of like I drink almond milk at night, it does have tryptophan in it. It makes you sleepy.
On Thanksgiving, you eat turkey and you take a nap.
That's right, yes, Oh, yeah.
Excellent suggestion.
yes.
So
Yeah.
almond milk, this chewy thing, and was anyone else that would be on
Did you suggest almond milk for the cat?
No, for me. For you guys.
And you can order it through,
Chewy, yes.
Good, that's a great answer, yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, you're welcome. So if you guys have your own sleep issues like sleep apnea, please talk to your doctor about that. All right. Smoking. If you smoke, stop. Studies have shown that smoking increases the risk of cognitive decline and will increase the risk of dementia. The benefits of quitting smoking include a lower risk of heart attack, stroke, lung disease, better blood circulation once you quit, and you don't expose others to secondhand smoke. Quitting smoking may reduce a person's chance of developing cognitive decline back down to the level of non-smokers. If you currently smoke or know somebody who does, there is all kinds of help out there. Of course, talk to your doctor. There are there are sensations, if I said that right. But quitting is hard, I get it. But there are quit lines and other professionals that can help you with that. Cessation, that's what I was looking for. And other strategies to help. So, all right. Other tips to be smoke-free. All right, mental health. It's important to prioritize yourself. You may have a lot on your plate, but you may be caring for others. You might be dealing with life's unexpected surprises. But as I tell people, if you're on an airplane, they always say, put your oxygen mask on first, because you can't care for the person next to you if you don't do that. Pay attention to your stress level and any symptoms of anxiety, depression, or other mental health concerns. This affects the health of your brain. Stress affects so much more than you could ever imagine. think you're doing okay. Talk with your doctor about how you're feeling, both physically and mentally. Some of the healthy habits we're talking about in this program are good examples of self-care. For example, studies have shown that regular physical activity decreases stress, increases your ability to manage stress, and leads to better overall mood. Sleep also contributes to mental health. The endorphins that you get from exercise, just a short walk, it's amazing. I mean, I could be feeling like the world is collapsing around me. I could get on the treadmill and everything is gonna be okay. Even
Become a member of the Y.
become a member of the Y. There you go.
I'm a member of the senior center and they have a wonderful,
Yeah, there you
stuff,
go.
yeah.
Yeah.
and lots of people at Y who are open to coaching you, or you can engage someone to meet you there and coach you.
Yes, very good.
And it
You're
goes
way, you're a
later.
step ahead of me. Yes. So even if you're busy with a full schedule, it helps to take a few moments to give yourself a break. This can help boost your mood and lower your stress level. And I get it. But you have to say no, and it's okay. Self-care is not selfish. Think about some of the things you like doing and how you can build breaks into your day. Here are some ideas of self-care. Choose something that makes you happy and feels like a break, even if it's only for a few minutes. Take a nap after you exercise, of course. Just kidding. Even a short 5-10 minute break, as my husband calls them, power naps. Sipping a cup of tea or other beverage. There's lots of coffee shops around here to choose from, right? Endless choices. Go for a walk, go for a run, playing a game or completing a puzzle. There's all kinds of things that you can do in front of you. There's a lot of online things now as well. Reading. Our library has an online presence as well that you can get books from. There's Audible books that you can listen to, or just put them in your hand. Dancing. Even if you're a bad dancer, you can still dance. Singing. Making art. There are all kinds of art classes out there. All kinds. Cooking or baking. Laughing, just watching funny videos. Would anybody like to participate and tell me how they do things with self-care? They prioritize at all? Incorporate any of these fun things? Anybody need a Zoom?
I allow myself to spend time on a couple of hobbies,
Yes.
and I love, my mind wants to research things.
Very good.
So
Research.
I recently
Arts.
moved to the Eastern Shore,
Welcome.
and I have a history of interpretive work at Fort McHenry.
Wow.
So I research and talk to people. I find that there are lots of people on the shore who are very proud of their heritage and have good
Yes.
records. And there is a wonderful oral history tradition on the Eastern Shore.
Nice.
So there are, I'm, this program, the forum has a wonderful.
Yes, just being here, that's right.
And there's such a variety.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
so you hit about half a dozen themes when you participate in those that you connect, you learn things, so you stimulate your brain, you We learn from other people how they deal with stress.
Social interaction,
Exactly.
exactly. Yes, that's
And
right.
you have to plan these things and schedule them
Mhm.
and work on your lifestyle so that you can fit them in. So it's wonderfully engaging just to get
Yes.
involved in a general program and then start making menu choices.
Right, yeah.
I think I could do a lot better job of that, because I don't take I don't schedule the time for myself. Or to do, I keep thinking, oh, I used to do collage,
Exactly.
and I haven't had time. I used to go on Ancestry, and I haven't had time. It's just like,
Well, your profession is very engaging and there's always something for you to do, and I can understand that. But I can also identify with your sense of loss.
yes, and it kind of gets to you after a while.
It does. It does, because you realize that you're depriving yourself.
Yeah, yeah. So just schedule some time for yourself. So, very good, thank you for sharing. All right, we're gonna get moving. There's quite a bit of research on how physical activity affects our brains and keeps them as healthy as possible. Many studies have shown that consistent physical activity is associated with lower risk of cognitive decline. Some researchers say that if people had to choose one thing to do, it would be to get moving. Evidence shows that physical activity may directly benefit brain cells by increasing blood and oxygen flow. As I mentioned before, the 25% of that blood that's beat in your heart goes to your brain. It may also reduce other dementia risk factors such as high blood pressure and diabetes.
What is the recommendation now? How much time should be spent walking or riding a bike or whatever
I think it's 30 minutes a day.
a day?
Yeah.
I have prosthetic knees, and I've also gained too much weight, so it's not comfortable for me to move anymore. I'm also in an environment, so I tend to isolate because I don't have solid connections to my community. And I get sad about that, so I just isolate more. But I discovered that you can split your commitments, like I can walk 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes
There
at
you
night.
go.
When it's
Split your
cool.
time. 15 in the morning,
And it
15 at
still
night.
counts for that. 30.
That's right,
A
exactly.
dog instead of a cat.
Yeah, you need a dog to walk. That's
Yeah.
right.
I'm sorry, we are predispositioned, I'm afraid. Not that I don't love dogs. I borrow dogs from my community.
Very good. So most researchers believe exercise should be regular and on the more vigorous side. Things that get the heart pumping and the blood moving. Other studies have shown benefits from milder activities such as walking or strength training. However, we don't have a single recipe for what works best. But for most people, any increase in movement is a positive change that can have an impact on overall health. I will tell you that my family knows that Mondays and Thursdays are a treadmill day for mama. I get home, that's the first thing I do, and I'm done for the week. But I work hard on those 2 days. But everybody is different. You could do something every single day, you can do a couple times a week, whatever works best for you. So, what activities do you want to try? Okay, there again, the choices are endless over here. How many of you play pickleball? Pickleball's huge now.
That's new, but it's very popular.
It is very, very, very big now, right? So how can you build more physical activity into your day? How many of you took the stairs to come up here today? Good, okay. We could do that more often. Is there someone that you can ask to join you? You can hold each other accountable. So, if this is new for you, start small and find things that might already be a part of your day, like walking around your neighborhood. Try to move quickly and get your heart rate up and break a sweat. And make it a routine, a lifestyle change. As always, check with your doctor or another healthcare professional to make sure activities will be safe. All right, next will be nutrition. As we've discussed, what's good for your heart is good for your brain. The same is true when it comes to the foods we eat. We know that healthy fuel for the body benefits brain functioning. Eating a balanced diet may reduce your risk of heart disease, cancer, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, stroke, and diabetes. I could probably go on. But there are many differing opinions about what is the best way to eat to maximize health. Research on the relationship between nutrition and cognitive functioning is somewhat limited. But it does point to the benefits of balanced nutrition. Two good examples of this are the DASH diet. Has anybody heard of the DASH diet?
No.
Or the Mediterranean.
Okay, and the Mediterranean diet. Yeah.
Sean Neurocognitive calls it the mind diet, Mediterranean and DASH.
DASH and Mediterranean diet together. Shore Neurocognitive Clinic calls it the mind diet. That's what you said.
The DASH diet.
I'm going to explain it. So, good question.
Yes, Norm.
Foods rich in potassium, calcium, magnesium, fiber, and protein. Low in fat, low in salt. The DASH diet is a flexible and balanced eating plan. Studies show that the DASH diet lowers high blood pressure and improves levels of blood lipids. Those are your fats in your bloodstream. Yes,
I think it's important to emphasize that there are fats that are healthy.
exactly. Thank you for pointing that out. There are fats that are healthy, yes. This may reduce the risk of developing cardiovascular disease. Because the DASH diet is a healthy way of eating, it may also lower the risk of osteoporosis, which I have not mentioned yet, cancer, heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. The Mediterranean diet incorporates the basics of healthy eating along with the traditional cooking style of countries bordering the Mediterranean Sea. A research study of more than 1.5 million healthy adults demonstrated that following a Mediterranean diet could reduce the risk of death from heart disease and cancer. It also reduces the risk of Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. But these are just examples. There are others. The important thing is to find balanced options in the food you eat and the food that is important to your culture. The diets that have been shown to be most effective have certain things in common. Here you can see the key elements from both diets that I mentioned. You might be pretty familiar with some of these, so take a moment to start thinking about how they could fit into your meals that you eat regularly. Yes?
What about kale?
Kale? Kale's disgusting. Why would anybody eat kale?
Oh, no, it's
Just kidding. Yes, eat kale.
I like my kale with olive oil, slides off into the garbage.
Olive oil, yes,
Mediterranean.
there you go, Mediterranean, yes. Or that are important to your culture or family. They include incorporating more fruits and vegetables into your daily diet. Some studies indicate that certain fruits, such as berries, may be particularly helpful, and eating green, leafy vegetables have been shown to have health benefits. I know that blueberries they're like the key to everything, I believe, is what I've heard. They have every,
Antioxidant.
yes, there you go.
She's got a little case on there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, vitamins, minerals, everything. Eating nuts and beans and whole grains. I look for bread that has whole grain, spaghetti, all the pasta, things like that. Yes.
One of my choices for a hobby was to learn how to bake so that I could bake I bake all of my own bread. And
Wow.
I order my flours from sources that produce their flour in healthy ways and leave more nutrients and fiber in their
All right,
flour.
so we're baking our own bread and ordering from places that
That produce nutritious and healthy
produce
flour.
nutritious flour.
Because that's one thing you'll find in the Mediterranean, is that breads taste so different because they're using different flour from different
Yes.
sources.
Mediterranean bread is different than what we have, yes, definitely. Eating lean meats, fish, and poultry. Choosing foods containing polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fats, which are found in nuts. Plant-based oils, such as olive oil or avocado oil. I use olive oil for everything instead of the Crisco. Aiming for a diet low in saturated fats. Always, if you can, stay away from processed foods, deep fried foods, and large amounts of sugar and salt. But everything is okay in moderation. That's my motto. Everything's okay in moderation. So notice both diets and recommendations did not include carbs. No carbohydrates. But yeah, I do love my sweets. So yeah, it is. But again, whole grains. Yes.
It has to do a lot with how the body, what the body has to do to process it.
Okay, right. Yes. So, all right. How can I cook differently to make meals healthier? What can you swap in? Instead of a bag of chips, grab some cashews or some almonds. They're much more filling too. What new foods am I willing to try? Or what new ways can I cook them? We have every single cooking gadget out there to be had, okay? I just recently got the Instant Pot. It does everything. I love my machine. I steam broccoli and everything in that now. So just play with things like that and see what you can come up with. Yes.
Giant Deli used to have a kale salad that was delicious, and they quit carrying it now, but I have figured out how to make it. It has the kale, it has blueberries, it has walnuts, it has purple onion, trying to think what all else. It's got all the good stuff. And then, craisins. You could put in pine nuts in weight. And then I use a dressing that is like a strawberry vinaigrette or something like that. It makes a wonderful salad. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look on Pinterest for that. So we were just talking about a kale salad that Giant used to have, and it has kale, blueberries, walnuts, craisins, strawberry vinaigrette.
Was there anything else? What else?
They had grain, like quinoa or anything like that.
They didn't add a grain to that, no. I'm trying-
All the
I
good
think
stuff.
maybe some shredded carrot, purple onion.
Okay, purple onion. So we could eat kale, it just has to be with other things.
Exactly.
Okay.
The dress, yeah, the
Yes.
Dutch have to use a lot of leafy greens like kale. and
Amish market might have it, yes. Okay. All right. So some other tips for healthy eating: use olive oil instead of butter, especially in the air fryer. Or again, they've got air fryers; we can air fry everything. Or sautéing. Use sodium-free spices instead of salt. There's all kinds of things that are already pre-made that you can get in containers. Don't add extra salt when cooking rice, pasta, or hot cereal. A lot of times on those packages, it says add a teaspoon of salt, optional. Okay. Read food labels and choose low sodium or no salt added options. Focus on what you can add instead of what you're taking away It makes things seem a little bit better. You know, I will eat a banana, okay, but I'm like, I want something a little bit more than just a banana, so I'm gonna put peanut butter on it. Okay, or almond butter, things like that. It stays in your belly a little bit longer too. Choose plain, fresh, frozen, or canned vegetables. Build meals around vegetables, beans, and whole grains. Choose fresh or frozen, skinless poultry, fish, and lean cuts of meat. Again, experiment. My husband just got a pellet grill that we're going to be experimenting on. I mean, we have no excuses to be eating well, okay? All right. Vitamins and supplements. There are many vitamins and supplements available on the market today. However, it is important to proceed with caution. The World Health Organization says that vitamin supplements are not recommended to reduce the risk of decline and dementia. Balanced nutrition, like we discussed, will have the biggest advantage for promoting the health of your body and brain, not supplements. Labels for supplements cannot make drug claims or state that they alleviate symptoms of diseases because they are not drugs as defined by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Many are created with little or no regulation and may be potentially dangerous. Beware of false claims and know that vitamins and dietary supplements may interact with medications. The best way to understand and address how to care for yourself is to talk to your physicians. If you have a nutritional deficiency, they can identify this and counsel you on the right steps to take. Supplements should only be used under the supervision of a medical professional. Yes.
What are the resources in this area for professional nutritional coaching and guidance?
That's a good question. So we were asked the resources on the Eastern Shore for nutritional counseling. Somebody at the Y might be available. I don't know.
We have packets downstairs at the front desk. We have a nutritionist named Erin.
You do?
She does appointments where you can sign up to meet with her and do all that.
Thank you.
So the YMCA has resources for nutritionists. The University of Maryland, Shore Regional Health does have a dietary and nutrition area. However, I recently reached out to them to do a presentation for us, and they are not accepting anybody right now because they are extremely short-staffed, just like the rest of the nation.
That's what I was.
Yeah, so, all right. Yeah. True or false? Challenging your brain may help lower your risk of cognitive decline.
True.
True. Okay. Continuing to challenge our minds as we age may lower the risk of cognitive decline. Challenging your mind might have short and long-term benefits for your brain. This can be learning new skills, working on a challenging task, or engaging on ongoing learning. Just keeping your mind active is important. Scientists believe that as you use your mind in new and challenging ways, your brain builds new connections between brain cells. The more connections you have, the more nimble your brain is. And the better you may be able to guard against the effects of injuries or diseases that can compromise brain function. Cognitive engagement encourages blood flow to the brain, and mentally stimulating activities may possibly maintain or even improve cognition. Formal education is also important. Research has shown that engaging in classroom-based learning led by professionally trained teachers will help keep your brain healthy and can protect you from developing dementia. Some researchers believe that this may be due to education creating a more robust network of communication pathways between neurons in our brain. So, how can we challenge ourselves? Ask yourselves, what new hobbies or skills do you want to learn? What would be challenging for you? So I can tell you what would be challenging for me, learning a musical instrument
Language.
or a language would be very challenging for me. Are there activities that you can think that sound like they would be fun to you?
Martial.
Okay, that's coming up.
Are you taking the class?
I'm thinking about it.
Oh, it's too late now, it's full. We're trying to get it to do it next week.
Okay.
So what topics would you like to learn more about? Again, we have no excuses. We have so many resources at our fingertips. With Chesapeake Forum, you've got Chesapeake College that have adult classes as well. It's just ongoing. The Senior Center has lots to choose from. Focus on topics of interest that are challenging for you. What is challenging for you may not be challenging for another person. So, here are some general ideas of mentally stimulating activities. Again, local community center or college. Try a new cooking technique or learn a new language. Build a piece of furniture. Create something artistic. While completing jigsaw or crossword puzzles, they can be a good way to manage stress. Cognitive engagement is about solving a problem that has you stumped, or figuring out ways to approach a familiar task in a more effective way. It requires that you think steps ahead and make plans for adapting to changes, like thinking about what an opponent might do in chess. Caution. While brain training activities, such as computer games, that aim to improve memory and attention span, that are an exciting area of ongoing study to evaluate their impact on cognition, none of these activities are currently proven to prevent dementia or Alzheimer's. Be cautious of commercially marketed brain games with big claims and promises. Finally, stay connected. Stay socially connected. There is some research that shows connecting with others may support brain health. We know people that don't do well in isolation. When people feel well connected to others, they tend to make healthier choices in other parts of their lives. There are many ways to connect with others and reap the benefits of social interaction. As always, do activities that are meaningful to you. These will provide the greatest connection to those around you. There are a number of ways that you can maintain strong social connections, including volunteering for a cause that's important to you. There's homeless shelters that need help. There's Goodwill. There's some Humane Society. Again, it's really kind of endless as far as volunteer opportunities.
Chesapeake Forum.
Chesapeake Forum.
Packing food for the kids.
There you go.
Remember the name of it.
Packing the backpacks for the kids. Yes, that's right.
So your local educational, there might be volunteer opportunities at your local educational, loving schools.
Yes, exactly. There's the kids, I forget the name of it, but you can volunteer to teach with the kids. Yeah. Mentoring, but there's some,
I
Yeah.
know the Denton Elementary School had a very robust volunteer program to have people come in so that there would be one-on-one support for those children who were struggling.
okay, there's also CASA is out there. Yeah, that reminded me of that. Yep. You were gonna say something?
The schools are actively looking for teachers' aides now too.
That's,
So, and
that's
that's
good to hear. It's a whole good day.
Oh, yes.
I was going to suggest, if I had money, I would travel more. And one forum for traveling is what Elder Hostel evolved into, which is called Road Scholar. That's ROAD.
So that became expensive.
Yes, and that's my block, is I can't afford it, but I love the idea in that it incorporates so much. of what
That's
we're
right,
talking about.
exactly.
Connection, learning,
Physical.
exposing yourselves to new cultures, which always
Yeah,
shows you that there's another way to approach lifestyle and healthy ways
That's
of
right.
living, history.
Yeah.
And it gives you a sense of empowerment. There's
Yes.
a lot of planning and cognitive environment, because
Exactly.
you gotta make it work from where you're coming from, but you have to have
so we were talking about road scholars.
ROAD.
ROAD, and traveling and how that can
In groups, and
be
there's
socially
there
engaging.
is a humongous catalog for options,
Okay.
and you can choose.
Something near you or way far
Exactly,
away. Okay.
you can take it in a little bite,
That's right.
or you can, do a tour of, and there's small groups.
Yeah, so again, we have no excuses. Yep. So,
Except money.
except money, okay. Little problem. Okay, scheduling regular phone calls or video chats. Okay, visiting friends and family, again, being involved in your community. So, let's recap, okay? In general, a key principle is that what's good for your heart is good for your brain. The important elements of healthy living for your brain and body include getting quality sleep, smoke-free, taking care of your mental health, being physically active, stay socially connected. All of these things have potential benefits. In fact, there is ongoing research into how engaging in multiple activities across these areas may have the greatest benefit for your brain health. You can make small changes that will have significant impacts, helping you live as well as possible. It's never too early and never too late to start building more healthy habits for your life. So, before we end, I just need to plug the Alzheimer's Association real quick. If you know anybody struggling, there is a 24/7 helpline that is in 200 languages. And there's all kinds of materials back there that I have there for you to take on community-based services, things that the Alzheimer's Association has going on, and help for in-home care as well. So this really concludes our healthy living for brain and body. Does anybody have any questions for me about what we covered today?
Are there any questions on the Zoom?
Anybody have any questions on Zoom?
They can ask the question.
Okay. Yes.
What kind of diagnostic tests exist that are credible and useful, and who in this county has the capability, the expertise to perform these tests?
Yes. So, yep. So we can start with your primary. They can do a very simple test called a mini mental that tests short-term memory. So they're going to ask things like, who's the president of the United States? What's today's date? Because Alzheimer's and other dementias mostly will affect the short-term memory, but they'll be able to tell you about their childhood, but they will not be able to tell you what they ate for breakfast. So the mini mental is a good start. They might make light of it. They might answer in a way that they're hiding it. So, for instance, if they're asked, who's the president of the United States, they might say, Well, what's the difference? They're all crooks anyway. That would be marked wrong on the test. And then, yes.
So
They have dementia.
how many false answers do you have to have before they
I
work?
don't know that answer. I don't know that answer.
Yes.
But the next step then would be probably a neurologist. There's also psychiatrists, geriatric psychiatrists, which are not in this area. There's one geriatric psychiatrist for every 7,000 people in the United States. We used to have one on the Eastern Shore, but he's no longer here. But neurologists are great at managing the symptoms. There are some medications that can be given to help relieve some of the symptoms and the behaviors, but they'll do other tests like have you draw a clock, okay, like a clock face, and they'll have it to show like 3 o'clock. I've seen people in the early stages of Alzheimer's not be able to do that. They'll write the number 13. They'll write all the numbers on one side. Because it's, even in the early stages, we take for granted what they can't do.
I remember 5, I noticed I was testifying with PCP and she gave me 5 things to remember.
Yeah.
And she did give me a heads up that later in our appointment, she would ask.
Yes, so
What's the
that's
five
another
words?
one, yeah, so they'll ask you, I'm gonna give you 3 words. And at the end of our conversation, I'm gonna ask you what those 3 words are. And, that's another test as well. They can also do MRIs, other scans, things like that. I'll give you an example of I mentioned earlier how the brain will shrink. So there was a gentleman who came to one of my classes years ago whose wife had just retired from being a school teacher, elementary school teacher, okay, keep that in mind. They were at the grocery store, he had been seeing some things that were not appropriate, not normal for her. Again, you've got to take all that into account, what's normal for your loved one. Went to the grocery store, there was a little girl standing in front of them in the line, and she said something very inappropriate to that mother about the child. And that's when he knew that something had to be done. They went across the bridge, got a scan, the front part of her brain
Yes.
was disintegrated. It was that frontal temporal part, that language, the filter that she no longer had. So, yeah.
Is there a group on the shore that you know of, which staffs people who are physicians that are skilled in pediatric care? Not pediatric, I'm sorry, geriatric care.
Well, there are a couple doctors. There's it's not a group, but there are a couple. They call them concierge doctors who do see the majority of our seniors, our senior population. That's Dr. Abrego, Dr. Edelceder. Those are 2, but there are other doctors as well. But there's not a group.
Are they connected to the University of Maryland? The clinics that I see around?
I don't think that they're connected, but I could be wrong. So you had a question?
I just want to share our experience, the last few months. I had issues with this guy right here, and we went to the primary care. I had to manipulate some things to make sure that we got to see him and that he knew what my concerns were before we even went in. And frankly, he kind of poo-pooed some of the things that Don was doing, and didn't really act like he was particularly interested in recommending that we go anywhere else. And I kind of had to push that.
You have to be your own advocate.
You have to do-
Absolutely.
And don't necessarily think that your GP is going to have the wherewithal. Hey, he hasn't seen or she hasn't seen what you've seen.
The daily, what's not normal.
And we went to
Right.
Shore Neurocognitive where they performed the more complex testing. And within a couple of weeks, there was an MRI that revealed that Dawn does have Alzheimer's. And so we are now on that journey. And my reason for saying this to you is I'm not that confident in primary care
Yes.
when it comes to issues like this.
Thank you for sharing. That's
And
great
and I
to know.
just feel like you have to be really proactive, and what's the harm really in getting the further testing
Exactly.
just to have an answer?
Yes.
And so now we have an answer. And so now we are moving, as I said, on with the journey and trying to make sure that we are doing everything we can with
And there are
for
some,
neurocognitive's help.
that's great.
Yeah.
And so do they have a support group going on there right now?
They have one that, and the meeting, I believe, is, I want to say it's next Monday at noon, and I don't know, you would probably have to check and see if you can get in, because their room is rather small.
And there is one here, I believe, as well.
Well, they weren't here when we came, a couple of, like last month, they did not
No,
show
I heard
up.
that from somebody else.
They did not show up.
And it's somebody who's been given that opportunity from the Alzheimer's Association, so it's not the YMCA,
No, they
they're
just
just
booked
using the
the room.
YMCA space.
Right.
So I'm sorry
So,
that you ran
yeah,
into that.
it's been a little disappointing, to say the least, that the
Yes.
Alzheimer's Association wasn't available. But anyway, and so anyhow, like I said, you have to advocate, there's no question.
Yes.
And if you think
You
there's
have to be
something,
an advocate.
check it out with the people that can give you the real answers.
Yes.
I discovered that with my PCP was very young, that she didn't spend any time at all pointing out the factors in the test that she had run, like blood tests, for instance, where I was on the cusp of needing to take action. Just as a support person to alert me, I was on my own to sort of interpret.
Wow.
And the test that I took, she wanted me to take a more recent one. And she said, we'll review it in 3 months. Well, if I'm on the edge of diabetes,
Right. Yeah.
you know, I need to start and stop doing things.
Yeah. Well, I just want to ask real quick before everybody leaves, if everybody signed in. Okay, yep, so I just need that for the Alzheimer's Association, and I am pleased to have been here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My card is back there as well, if you have any questions, just let me know.
Thank you so much for doing this.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate that. It's one of the